Have you watched the movie The Society of Snow and come here for answers about the world's most devastating aviation accident? We're here to answer your questions. Come along and let's test the true story of the Uruguayan Flight 571 apocalypse. The Society of the Snow takes a different approach, focusing on the events leading up to the crash of Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571 in the Andes Mountains, omitting the overnight stop in Mendoza, Argentina, and beginning with the flight already en route and encountering bad weather. In reality, the flight was forced to stop in Mendoza, Argentina due to bad weather over the Andes, and the passengers and crew stayed overnight as they waited for the weather conditions to improve. This stop is not depicted in the movie, likely to avoid adding to the film's lengthy runtime. So, is it true the path of Uruguayan Flight 571 is accurately depicted in the film? No. Lieutenant Colonel Dante Hector Laguarara, the co-pilot, was trapped in his seat by the panel after the plane crash. In the movie, he tells the survivors that they have already passed Curacao, adding to the confusion about their location and the direction they should take for help. He also says, "May God be with you." However, the film does not show Laguarara asking the survivors to retrieve his gun to end his suffering, a significant and harrowing moment in the true story. This detail is omitted from the movie, which instead focuses on the overall ordeal and the emotional and physical challenges faced by the survivors without delving into this particular aspect of Laguarara's suffering. So, is it true the co-pilot Laguarara said they passed Curacao? Yes. In the film, the official search for Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571 was terminated after several days of unsuccessful attempts to locate the wreckage due to the challenging terrain and adverse weather conditions of the Andes Mountains. The survivors faced a grim reality when authorities concluded that finding survivors was unlikely, intensifying their desperation as they realized they had to rely on themselves for survival without immediate rescue. This pivotal moment in the movie highlights the survivors' dire situation, emphasizing the urgency and tension as they fought to survive and eventually took matters into their own hands by sending out a rescue party. This whole predicament shown in the film accurately depicts how the survivors' tiny beacon of hope was lost after this news from the mended radio, like they will never get out of this hell of snow and ice. So, is it true that the rescue operations were suspended until the next year? Yes. To survive for over 2 months in the Andes, the 16 survivors of Flight 571 resorted to cannibalism, a decision they did not make lightly. Their initial food supplies, including dried plums, dates, almonds, candy, jam, mussels, and wine, lasted only a week. With no animals to hunt or vegetation to forage, they soon faced severe hunger, attempting to eat leather from belts and shoes. In the end, they had nothing to sustain themselves, resorting to cannibalism. The idea of cannibalism was first suggested by Roberto Canessa, a 19-year-old medical student and one of the survivors. Faced with the harsh reality of their situation, Canessa recognized that their only chance of survival was to use the bodies of those who had died in the crash as a source of nutrition. As Roman Catholics, the survivors struggled with the moral and religious implications of eating the deceased, and worst of all, eating the dead bodies of their family members and friends. The bodies, preserved in ice and snow, provided the vital protein they needed. So, is it true the survivors feed on their dead family members and friends? Yes. The survivors of the Andes plane crash found solace in moments of camaraderie and laughter, which played a vital role in boosting their morale throughout the harrowing ordeal. Despite the harsh conditions and suffering, they managed to uplift each other's spirits by sharing stories, singing songs, and offering support, as recounted in survivor testimonies. The film captures the complexity of their experience, including the brief periods of normalcy and joy they managed to find even in such a grim situation. So, is it true despite all of the sufferings, without sustenance in the icy mountains, they found ways to be happy and live? Yes. In the movie, the avalanche traps the group in the fuselage for 3 days. Numa becomes determined to free them and frantically starts to kick out one of the cockpit's windows. As his foot breaks the glass, he sustains a deep cut to his leg near his ankle. However, he does manage to break through the snow and free the group from their dark tomb. It's an act of heroism for Numa, but it didn't happen that way in real life. In reality, according to the survivors' accounts, the process of digging out after the avalanche was indeed a collaborative effort. Gustavo Nikolic, Roberto Canessa, and Roy Harley were involved in digging through the snow to reach the cockpit. It was Roy Harley who, with considerable effort, managed to push the window out and create a passage. This act was crucial in allowing them to assess the situation outside and make decisions about their next steps. So, is it true Numa breaks free the survivors from the avalanche? No. When the weather got better in late spring, Roberto Canessa, Nando Parrado, and Antonio Vizintin decided to split from the group in search of assistance. Vizintin went back to save food for the rest when they realized the journey would be longer than anticipated. Without proper gear, Canessa and Parrado continued the journey. They scaled a 260-foot mountain peak on the glacier's western edge. After trekking for 10 days through Chile, they covered 38 miles before finally finding help. So, is it true the 3 courageous survivors hiked to search for help? Yes. Antonio Tintin Vizintin's role in the film may have shown him assuring Roberto and Nando about their food supplies, but the reality was quite different. They only had enough food for 3 days, not knowing their expedition would last 10 days. When they realized they were low on supplies and help would take longer, Vizintin decided to turn back, finally reaching the fuselage on Friday, December 15th. The discrepancy between the film and reality underscores the challenges faced by the trio. Despite the hardships, Vizintin's resourcefulness and determination were key to his survival and safe return. So, is it true Roberto and Nando had enough food for the trek to Chile? No. Roberto and Nando, along with Sergio Catalan, crossed the river. Sergio promised to return the next day, and when he did, they communicated by throwing a note across the river using a rock. Sergio then rode to the nearest town for help, leaving Roberto and Nando in the care of 2 peasants, who provided them with food, shelter, and beds. The next day, Sergio returned with a group of Chilean mounted policemen. So, is it true Roberto and Nando saw a Chilean arriero across the river who informed authorities to rescue them? Yes. The dramatic rescue of the 14 survivors in Society of the Snow was not as straightforward as depicted. Our analysis of fact versus fiction reveals that 2 Bell UH-1 helicopters from the Chilean Air Force were dispatched on December 22, 1972. Due to weight limits, high altitude, and harsh weather conditions, only 6 survivors were rescued on the first day. 4 rescuers remained to assist the remaining 8 survivors, who were eventually rescued on December 23rd. The movie inaccurately suggests that all survivors were rescued simultaneously. The survivors required treatment in Santiago hospitals for various health issues, including dehydration, frostbite, altitude sickness, malnutrition, scurvy, and broken bones. So, is it true all 14 survivors were rescued at once by the Chilean Air Force helicopters? No. After analyzing the Society of the Snow, we found that the movie portrayed the historical events accurately, including the navigational error, avalanche, and resort to cannibalism. While it took some artistic liberties, it effectively captured the survivors' resilience and camaraderie, highlighting the human spirit's capacity to find hope in desperate circumstances. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more true story content exploring the difference between movies and reality.